Hi, welcome to Nina in the Kitchen, where today I'm making two classic sandwiches. I just have to show these to you because they're so delicious and they're probably regional somewhat. So let's get started. The first one up is a hot corned beef sandwich with Russian dressing and coleslaw. And I'm making all of the above, but I'll tell you about some shortcuts as we go. What I'm going to do is I took some of the pot liquor from the leftover corned beef, and some of that liquid is in here, and it's just enough to cover the bottom of the pan. You're not going to boil this, or it really just needs to be warmed through. Have this leftover corned beef. And what you want to do for sandwiches is slice it as thin as possible. And hand slicing is the best way to go. If you go to a good deli in New York, you're going to see some people whose jobs all day long are just hand slicing the pastrami and the corned beef. So what you do is as thin as you can possibly consider going while the meat is still cold, and that's important. You can slice off thin little slivers of meat. And I'm going against the grain here. I'm just going to put this meat, I'm just going to put this in this briny broth and let it get nice and warm while we finish up the other parts of the sandwich. So the other parts to the sandwich is coleslaw and Russian dressing. What Russian dressing is, and I would love it if I could get people to stop buying their dressings, but what Russian dressing is so simple. This is a cup of mayonnaise, 1/4 cup of ketchup, or you can use chili sauce, about a tablespoon of horseradish, about a teaspoon of Worcestershire, a couple of shots from the bottle, a teaspoon of grated onion, and I'm using this onion which I've already cut into, so that's kind of convenient. And that's it. You see, it comes out very creamy, and grating an onion is a great idea if you ever have a recipe where you want to add that flavor and you have people who say, I hate onion, I don't want to eat onion. This is a great way to get it in there, and I'll never know. So you just mix these together, and there is your Russian dressing. Very simple, just going to taste it. Fine. It's good. Salt and pepper if you want. Parsley if you want a little green in there, that would be fine. But that's it, that took 2 seconds. Now let's move on. This is the makings of coleslaw. All that I have in here is some green cabbage, some purple cabbage or red cabbage, and some carrot. You can use the pre-mixed stuff if you want, the pre-mixed veg, but it's so simple to do. I do this on my mandolin, and it takes just a few minutes again. So now what I'm going to add to this, I don't care for, and the reason I don't buy commercial, if you read the ingredients on commercial coleslaw, you'll find that they use corn syrup or they use sugar, and that's one of the first ingredients in there. So I don't like that sweetness. If I want sugar in my coleslaw, I'll add it. So what I do, very simple, I just have 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise in here and a teaspoon of white vinegar. I'm just going to pour that in here. And that is the dressing. So again, very simple, simple stuff. Now here we have the hot corned beef, the coleslaw. I'm just going to cut off a couple pieces of bread from this freshly made rye bread. That's another video. And these are small, and I did that intentionally. This is about a half sandwich's worth because there's more to come. This sandwich is so good. So good. It's a classic for a reason. I'm just going to put a few pieces of corned beef on here. If you're buying a bread for this recipe, you want a bread that is going to hold up to all of this wetness. And I haven't found one commercially that works, but if you do, if you know of anything, please let me know. So this is hot corned beef with coleslaw and Russian dressing on a beautiful rye bread. Next up, the Reuben. Oh, this is good. You want some? Well, now we're back for part 2, which is the Reuben sandwich. And by the way, if you make bread and you're not going to use the whole thing in one sitting, for that day that you make the bread, you can just keep it on the cut side down on a board, and that'll keep this nice and fresh rather than letting it get stale. Okay, so ready for the Reuben. The Reuben was created by a man who owned a deli. His first name was Reuben, and he also brought the New York style cheesecake to fame in his deli. So anyway, this is what he did for his signature sandwich. All that it is rye bread, some sauerkraut, the Russian dressing that we made, and again, that thinly sliced corned beef. So I'm just going to, and this gets grilled, or you can bake it if you have an oven handy, 400 degrees. If you're doing a few of them, that might be the way to go. I'm just going to do these tiny little half sandwiches. Little corned beef. Did I mention Swiss cheese? I don't think so, but Swiss cheese goes on here as well. How could I forget that? Some sauerkraut, which I've rinsed and drained. And then, of course, the Swiss cheese. And this goes into a pan, and you make it exactly the same way that you would make I'm just going to put this in the pan, the exact same way that you would make a grilled cheese sandwich. Well, these are done and they smell so good. Let me just cut this one open. Look at that. Gooey cheese, sauerkraut. It's hard to take a princess bite when this is in front of you. Serve it with a little extra Russian dressing. The pickle from the sauerkraut mixed with everything else, the Swiss cheese. The bread, as you can see, is holding up beautifully. What an excellent sandwich. I hope that you try these 2 recipes. Please follow me on YouTube by subscribing, and Facebook, and go to ninanthekitchen.net for recipes. I hope to see you again. Thanks so much for watching. Bye, guys.